Okay. So today we are going to start this journey of reimagining economics from a Maqasid methodology perspective. We welcome you all to Maqasid Institute. Today's agenda is that first we are going to have some introductory remarks from our esteemed teachers, instructors, and then we would like to have some introduction from our participants as well. So without further ado, let me first give the floor to Brother Yasir Hassan, who is the Director of Economic Research at Maqasid Institute. Brother Yasir.
Jazakallah khair. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So firstly, it's a real pleasure to see this group here today. MashaAllah, I'm sure this is going to be a really productive and engaging conversation between people who all have something to offer to this conversation. And this is a conversation. We're really discussing ideas that I think are still in their infancy in some ways. I think that the discussion of Islamic economics in the way that I think we hope to do is something that I think is quite new. Myself, I've engaged in political work for many years in what I would call the Islamic revival space, asking the question, what is stopping this ummah from progressing? And one of the answers I've come to is that actually the economic problem is perhaps the biggest obstacle to progression. We all live as part of a global economic system that keeps countries subservient and prevents them from breaking out and breaking free. And I think, whether we talk about the control of world trade, whether we talk about the debt based monetary system, these I think are perhaps our biggest challenge. And I found that these challenges were not given enough priority amongst much of the good work that's being done around this question of revival and progression. Actually, economics was almost left by many people, and many groups I would engage with would almost say, we don't really understand that bit, so we're gonna leave that bit behind. And I think that's really where that's really the gap we hope to fill here at Maqasid Institute, where we both recognize the importance of the economic problem, and I think we inshallah are bringing together people who have the capability of tackling this problem. So inshallah, as the director of economic research, this is our first economic focused course. I'm really excited about what we can potentially do as a group. And inshallah, I look forward to meeting and engaging with each and every one of you individually, inshallah. May Allah make this a success, and I pass it over to our esteemed teachers for their opening comments, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you so much, Brother Yasir. Now I would like to give the floor to our esteemed instructor, Dr. Zaid Berzanji, who is the CEO of Maqasid Institute. Sir, the floor is yours.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وأفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. It is indeed a great pleasure of mine to meet you all today. This has been something I've been dreaming to do for many years, and we've been talking about it with my dear brother Eldus. And then until subhanallah and alhamdulillah, we were blessed with brother Yasir, who came in with a vision and with this sincere kind of intent to make a difference in this area. And that really pushed everything into high gear and into alhamdulillah realizing this day and this program. So I welcome everybody to this program, to this course. One thing from the outset I would like to stress that the people who are attending here in this class or this program are not really regarded as students, but we are all participants in a project, in an effort. It is not really this class or this program or this course is not really meant to simply just deliver information. It is really meant to establish an agenda for making a real change. So this is the first building block of of a structure that we are envisioning, that we're trying to reimagine. So the reimagining is the first step here. Designing and then maybe even implementing this is critically important. So we don't really maybe we are coordinators, we are facilitators, myself and my dear brother Ildus. That's more important than anything else. Even the use of academic titles is not necessary or important. So that because all here trying to seek, first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance and tawfiq bi'awnihi ta'ala. That being said, we definitely have, alhamdulillah, some materials for you. One thing that you can see here from the outset that, this is, we're calling this program Reimagining Economics and Finance because we think that this is critically important and it's not happening at the same enough level. Otherwise, almost everybody is trying to do it, but sometimes we get distracted. And this is happening under what we call the umbrella of the Maqasid Institute. So I wanted to give you a very quick, explanation of what is the essence of the Maqasid Institute. You can definitely go to the website and find some more technical definition of the Maqasid Institute. However, what I want to really focus on is the message, the first ayah to be revealed of the Quran Kareem, which is اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. So the essence of the Maqasid Institute is a tajdeed. So this is, I hope, a word is you're familiar with that comes as a renewal of what Islam is in every time and place. So in this day and age, what is Islam? What does it mean to us? How does it manifest itself in this time? This is what, in a kind of a commonsensical way of explaining tajdeed. So this is Maqasid Institute was established formally in the United States about 30 years ago as part of a tajdeed project, focusing on reviving with the wahi, the revelation. So if we use the word wahi, we mean the revelation, and the revelation encompasses both Al-Quran and Sunnah in our life by reading in the name of the Creator. I mean, if there's one thing that Maqasid Institute would like to succeed in doing is making everybody here in this course read in the name of the Creator, read deeply, read with contemplation, read holistically, and come up with a coherent a view of the Quran Kareem. Read the Quran Kareem seriously. And that is sometime actually one of the first things that I notice that we are scared of reading the Quran Kareem, and we are scared of interacting with the Quran Kareem. So if we can do that in this class, then that's a huge win for us. Next thing, that this Islamic renewal or tajdeed, we want it to be institutionalized, activated, and realized. So this is what we're trying to do in this class. Is the second part is like activating the thinking about in the area of economics and finance, and we want to realize it. That will be actually the next steps in this project. As I said, this is a building block. So, and then at its core, MI Maqasid methodology, it is something that we're going to mention a lot here. So this methodology is both, it's not meant to be restrictive. It does not tell you what to do. It just simply guidelines to reestablish how our epistemology, how do we really pursue and think from an Islamic point of view, from a Quranic point of view, from a Wahy point of view. So it's a call for humanity to seek divine guidance through a holistic and coherent comprehension of wahi. Holistic and coherent. So it's very important to see if do you see this as a challenge today? Do you see this as a problematic? Or you think we're actually doing incredibly well in this area? At the Maqasid Institute, we see this as a major challenge. And then to recognize and connect Allah's ayat signs all around us. That is where part of this holistic and coherent thinking is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly labels the Quran Kareem as a book of ayat. And look at everything around us we live in a world of ayat. Ayat means literally the signs of Allah, and these signs point us to, they all point to the same thing and point to each other. We want to be able to connect these ayat. And it's an effort to answer the need for a defined methodological approach with wide application to various fields of knowledge. So this is the next critical point of view that we witness, that I personally see, especially in the field of economics and finance, is that we come from so many different backgrounds. We have been trained and been taught by so many different teachers and had our own life experiences and challenges. So sometimes when we start to come and talk to each other, we often talk past each other because we don't agree on any foundational statements. So this is something that we would like to establish to help us move forward, is that Maqasid Institute proposes a set of important foundational statements that are not exactly restrictive. I hope that is not really contradict something that we learn, but in totality, when we put it all together, it leads to a new orientation, a new perspective on sciences, on life, but more important, all of this is that on the position of wahi in relationship with everything that is happening all around us. So if we are able to establish this, why this today there will be some mention and some about what is this Maqasid methodology, and you all have access to a full Maqasid methodology course that is being given as that we usually offer separately from this program. But the participants of this program have free access to that course, so that inshallah you can also have a deeper understanding and knowledge of what this Maqasid methodology is all about. Jazakumullah khair. Again, I'm very glad to be with you, and inshallah we'll talk to you again. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zaid, for this introduction. Now, our second instructor is Dr. Ildus Rafikov. He will also give some introduction from a philosophical point of view. So, Dr. Ildus, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, of course, everyone for joining this course. This is something that we've been waiting for, and we've been working towards, offering this course. And Alhamdulillah, it came to fruition. Let me just stop sharing the other screen, and I will share mine. Okay. Actually, my remarks are going to be more about the course itself, and just give. I'm just going to give a little bit of an introduction about the course, but then I want to start on a lighter note. I think, Brother Yasser, he said that there is we are at something like at a crisis or something. People don't really refer to economics or to finance, or maybe give up on studying economics. This morning I had actually I'm also teaching Islamic economics, and this morning in our discussion with one student, in our discussion on economic systems, he said, well, we have any place where we don't have any say to dictate or talk about systems or economic systems. We just need to focus on on making more babies, have the our ummah bigger, and then people will just Muslims will at certain point take over, and they will talk they will talk about the systems, economic systems, Islamic economics, and so on. So on that note, I would say it is something that maybe one of the notions would be like that. It's very simplistic. I mean, some of our brothers and sisters could be really simplistic, even though the world around us is very complex, and all the relationships are around us. They are at so many levels, and we are connected to each other and to our states wherever we live, and we are connected through various levels. It can be at policy level, can be at the transactions level, and so on. And so
I'm
okay.
putting your
Okay.
presentation just
All right,
for
all
you.
right. Yeah, I was about to open. Anyway, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so this is the project. It's not only the course, it's a project, and it's a project of reimagining economics. Certainly, there were so many movements before, and still there are movements who are of students around the world who are trying to rethink, reimagine, reinterpret, relook at economics, and it happens again and again. I mean, for so many generations, and even in our generation, at least 2 or 3 several crises had happened. I mean, in 1990s, beginning 2000s, 2008, 2009, and until now, so many crises have happened. And every time a crisis happens, student bodies, or some students and students of knowledge, they come up with those ideas that we need to do something in order to reinterpret, reimagine, re-envision something. And so this is one of those projects, but of course we would like to look at it differently. And it is a collective ijtihad. Maybe you could go back a little bit. So it's a collective ijtihad, and we want everyone to really participate in this ijtihad, in these discussions, and to form a transdisciplinary research agenda. What are the problems that exist today, and we do know that we can identify the problems that there are today, but many a time we look at them from different perspectives. And so this is something that we thought about. The transdisciplinary would be a good way to look at economic phenomena and offer and work together to find some solutions, or at least try to offer some solutions. Next. Okay, so the objective of the course is to guide you, the participants, and many of you are already researchers, and you are at the postgraduate level, at graduate level, to guide you to critique and reimagine economics and finance from the Islam's higher objectives, and using the Maqasid methodology. And what we offer is that this methodology, of course, the course is built around it. It is built around the new Maqasid methodology, and you will have the access to all the materials in the LMS. And some of you who have taken the Maqasid methodology course with us, you'll be familiar. So we are using the same structure and the same videos by Professor Jasaroda. But we are adding this additional classes with you, so that we can discuss discuss the issues live during these synchronous sessions. And so we would like to enable a paradigm shift from a monodisciplinary to a transdisciplinary approach to economic phenomena based on this holistic understanding of the revelation. And also try to, this way, this course specifically, and there will be some other courses that will be used to look at and use Maqasid methodology to look at other fields, like Islamic psychology will be one, which is coming up soon, inshallah. And so we want to stress test, we want to evaluate, critique, and help develop the methodology further, because it really depends on the large mass of people who understand and try to practice it. Next. And so the higher purposes of the whole project is, as Dr. Zaid had said, is to reconnect with the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to help re-envision Islamic studies one field at a time. And economics and finance is one field, and there will be some other fields in the future that will also try to re-envision these fields from the Maqasidi perspective. Also as a part of Islah and Tajdeed movement, and there were many movements like ours. We are just, I think, part of renewal and reform movement, and there are the integration of knowledge, Islamization of knowledge, Wasatiyya movement, and so on. I mean, we are all part of the same kind of movement, but we may differ just in a little bit, in some interpretive way. But all of us, we want to really reconnect with the Book of Allah and bring people back to it. And so also we want to build a community of researchers and to identify potential research projects, to form research groups and work on solutions utilizing this methodology. And so what's important to hear about the transdisciplinary approach, and we will continue talking about it, what it is that it's not only it's not the job of one single scholar to look at complex issues and try to give some come up with some theories, but it is about research projects, and find some real life challenges or problems that we as a group we can look at it, we can research it from different perspectives, and then we offer some workable, inshallah, workable solutions. And so next one.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So the course structure, it's a blended learning. So we have everything in the LMS, and we are going to have the asynchronous learning. So you'll have access to the videos, and also there will be some essay questions there that after each module you'll have to answer those. And but also every week after Ramadan, we are going to have synchronous online lectures. And about the dates, we will also talk. Then learning materials. So we have the book, we have the reading materials, and then we are also going to share some reading materials. And I will be sharing my personal drive. I mean, I can share the drive with a lot of reading materials on economics, on Islamic economics, conventional economics and finance, and so on. So we have the recorded video lectures by Prof. Jasser, and also these lectures are going to be recorded as well. And we have our Telegram and the LMS where we can have our discussion. So whenever we are off, we are not having the synchronous online lectures, we will have the Telegram and LMS to connect and discuss things. And so the assessment will be simple. I mean, it's not something very hard. It's just 6 reflection exercises at the end of each module. and there will be one final assignment. And so we will actually, the information about it is already given in the LMS, and I think we will give a little bit more details about that. So it's an kind of an academic paper. If you can produce 2,500 to 3,500 word paper, that would be good. But the topics, you are free to choose your own topic, but of course it has to be related to your own interest, and it has to be related to our course. And the next one. And so the reflection exercise, as we said, it's going to be short answers up to 500 words. And the final assignment, I mentioned it already. And there is going to be an ungraded reflection exercise and a discussion of that exercise after Ramadan, because we suggest that we break for Ramadan, and we use this 1 month to do the reflection. So we'll do the tadabbur of the 4 surahs, Al-Fatiha, Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, and An-Nisa. And you start with your own interest and your question, and you read these surahs. But of course, if you can do more, of course, you're welcome to do more. And you read these surahs with your question, and you analyze what you read, and be ready after Ramadan to present some of your ideas. And right after Ramadan on 13, we are going to have a class just specifically for to discuss the results of this exercise. All right, next one. And so the timing, the dates. So we have our module today, and then we will break for Ramadan, and we have the assignment for you. And right after Ramadan, we'll be discussing that your assignment, and then starting from April 20th, we will go on with our regular weekly classes. And we will end on June 8th, and you will have approximately a month to complete and submit your assignment via LMS. And that's it about the course. Of course, you can ask questions, maybe a few questions right now, or we can clarify those points in the Telegram if you like later on. And but now I think we can go into the first module.
I think it's back to you. Okay, good.
All right. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ildu, for the course introduction. Since we are going to spend 4 months together from March till June, so it is always good to know each other. Although some of the participants already introduced themselves on Telegram group, but we would like to hear from you. Maybe if you can introduce yourself, 2 to 3 minute maximum, your name, country, and what are you currently doing and your interest. That would be great. So maybe we can go by alphabetically. I would like to invite Brother Abu Huzaifa, Muhammad Noman.
Abu Hanifa.
Yeah, Abu Hanifa. Can you just unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Abu Hanifa Muhammad Noman from Bangladesh. So I have memorized the Holy Quran, and then ended up with MPhil degree on Islamic Studies in Islamic University Kushtia in Bangladesh. Currently, I am trying to get engaged with a PhD program at IIUM. not admitted yet, but trying to get admitted there. And in terms of Maqasid Institute, I have completed few courses and um, a postgraduate course on Maqasid methodology. So, and here I am with you with this course, inshallah. So,
Thank you so
Jazakallah khair.
I'm now with my family and my fam, so I think. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair.
much. Next, we have Brother Adi Ar-Rahman.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam.
Happy to see you, Dr. Zaid and Dr. Idris. My name is Adi Rahman. I'm from Indonesia. Right now, I hold my PhD on Islamic economic and lectures on Islamic economic philosophy at State Islamic University of Sultan Taha Saifuddin Jambi. And of course, I part of Maqasid Institute members. And right now, but this course is very interesting to me because we talk about how to reimagining economics. That this will be interesting course, I think, and hopefully can get more benefit from this course. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
And
much.
Brother Adi is the
Assalamualaikum.
director of Maqasid Institute in Indonesia as well. So glad to have you with us.
Next, we have Brother Daniel.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Salam wa barakatuh.
Okay,
Walaikum salam.
so I'm Daniel. I am from Pakistan. I have recently completed PhD in critical management studies. Critical management studies is a leftist school, basically, which takes inspiration from critical theory and postmodernism. However, I don't subscribe to any one of them. I am more of a traditionalist. Currently, you can think of me as somebody who's in a dialogue or who's interacting with critical theory and postmodernism. Currently, I'm working on two research projects. First one deals with proposing a novel explanation for false consciousness, and the second project deals with, again, proposing a novel explanation for labor process theory. And what brings me over here? Well, I guess it's important to understand the context. And in modern times, the most important context is economy, I guess. Though, ideally speaking, it shouldn't be the case, but because of modernity, we are faced with this challenge. So I'm here to understand economics and the Islamic perspective, and looking forward to it, Ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Brother Hafiz Khan.
Hi, assalamu alaikum, everybody. I am Hafiz Khan. I am semi-retired businessman. In my earlier days, I did ACCA and the Chartered Institute of Marketing. So my whole career has been based on those two areas. I have been studying Islam throughout all of my life. I did take the Maqasid methodology and the Quran reflection program. And as a continuation of that, and in my quest to help the Maqasid Institute achieve their goals, which is to really get the different disciplines focused on a Maqasid methodology in developing those and making it widely known throughout the world so that Muslims could benefit and develop new systems that would help us to live according to what Islam dictates. So my interest is from that perspective, to be able to work with others and to give my input and to and help in the research, overall research, so that we come up with the right blend of whatever discipline that we are looking to research on, that we could come with solutions that would help develop the Muslim community to the number one in the world in all the different disciplines. Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah, thank you so much. Next we have with us on the list Isnan Tarib. I'm not sure, sorry, is it brother or sister?
Dr. Isnan.
Assalamualaikum.
Oh, sure.
Right. My name is Dr. Isnan Tarib. Graduated from Lancaster University, United Kingdom, with management and leadership management and learning. My thesis was on organizational moral learning by spiritual hearts, looking at how the spiritual hearts are being used for strategic purposes. So now currently I'm working in the local University of Brunei Darussalam in the School of Business and Economics, but mainly focusing on teaching Islamic governance, strategic management, business processes, and all these things. I've only touched on economics when I was in undergrad, probably more than 10 years ago, but I've always been curious about economic and finance because it is part and parcel of the Islamic system of governance. We need to understand what that thing is about. So I've done Maqasid Institute courses with Brother Hafiz as well. So I've done the first two. Now we want to go to specialized in economics and finance, or something that I wanted to explore even further. So looking forward to learning from everybody, inshallah. Thank you.
Inshallah. Okay, next it's Brother Amir Usman Ali.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I am a professor of public policy at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. My main area of interest is in studying how public managers and public organizations can mitigate or exacerbate social inequities. My current research is on police accountability in the US and intimate partner violence. I am also interested in structuring collaborative governance for epistemic justice. I look forward, I am basically a interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary scholar. I try to integrate different fields into my research and my thinking, and that is why I am also interested in the Maqasidi Sharia course of reimagining economics, and I look forward to learning and working with all of you. Thank you very much. Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah, thank you so much. Okay, next we have on the list Brother Muhammad Fauzi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. I'm Muhammad Fauzi Amadou, originally from Ghana, West Africa. I have a background in management information systems and an MBA. I'm working in the consulting industry in the US for 2 years, and then lecturing at the United Arab Emirates University for another 5 years before going back home to Africa to see how I could help both my country and my continent. After finishing my MBA, Dow Jones started a course on Islamic finance. And so that was my first introduction actually to Islamic finance. I got hooked. I took the course, and since then I have been a student of Islamic finance. And being back in Africa, back at home, trying to solve problems, I believe that Africa needs Islamic finance. And so I've been promoting Islamic finance in Ghana for the past 17 years and doing my best to learn about Islamic finance. As a management consultant, I want to make sure that the advices I give very much based on the Quran and Sunnah. And so I have taken courses with Islamization with Triple IT. I am still taking one with IKI Academy where Dr. Ildus teaches, and I've taken a few courses with him and doing some research in that regard as well. recently, alhamdulillah, my paper on using Waqf as a tool for affordable social housing has been accepted for June in Ireland. So we are looking forward to an interesting research in that regard. So my joining here is to continue my studies and learning, to share ideas so that we can grow this concept of Islamic economics of finance in the right direction in the spirit of Quran and Sunnah. May Allah help us, inshallah. Barakallah fiqh.
Thank you so much, Jazakumullah. Next, we have on the list Lonnie Henry. Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, Sister Amrin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Lonnie Henry from Indonesia. I am a research fellow in Maqasid Institute. For now, I'm just start my PhD at UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. I joined this course because I want to applying Maqasid methodology in my research. So with joining this course, I hope this course can help me in my research. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jazakallah. Next, we have Sister Maria Zahra.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, so my name is Maria Zahra from India. I'm currently pursuing PhD in Islamic Studies from Jamia Millia Islamia. And my research interest is focusing on the crypto assets from Islamic perspective. So I will be delving into the crypto assets issue from Sharia perspective. And I took 2 courses on Maqasid methodology and Quran reflection from Maqasid Institute. And I have been, in connection with Maqasid Institute for over 1 year approx. And yeah, Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah, thank you so much. Next, we have Sister Muniza Sayeda.
Assalamu alaikum. Nice to meet you all. I'm based in the UK, and apologies for having my camera off most of the time. It's because I'm currently working from a mobile device. Yes, I'm a chartered accountant, and I currently work as head of international tax at Tolly, which is the tax brand of Lexis PSL. Lawyers out there will be familiar with Lexis PSL, LexisNexis UK. The main reason why I'm here joining the course, I do not have a research background in traditional Islamic finance or PhDs or anything like that, very commercial based. But the reason for joining the course is because I have a fundamental question which I've never been able to understand or reconcile, is that whether the modern day interest, the concept of interest in modern day society, which underpins the exchange rates, it underpins inflationary powers, the purchasing power of our money, where we don't have currencies that are pegged to the gold standard. Very interestingly, what Maria commented about crypto assets, I've been looking at that as well. And I've never understood how an economy can function without interest. And I want to know whether there is a distinction between the concept of usury, which is obviously forbidden in the Quran, and the concept of modern day interest, which underpins so many other aspects of purchasing power. If somebody could explain that to me, I'd be very, very happy. And that is really genuinely the main reason for joining this course. So thank you very much. Oh, and also I will need to slip away just for a few minutes because I'm getting a little late for my Zohar namaz. Unfortunately, I've been out and about and a little disorganized today.
Sure,
So thank you.
No issues. Thank you so much, Sister Muniza. Okay, next we have on the list now Oliver Brent. Sorry for my poor pronunciation.
No problem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Mehdi. It's going to be probably easier. I'm French, so I've been in the US for the past 16 years. I did my PhD in economics in France, and then I moved to the US 16, 17 years ago, subhanAllah, already. And so I've been teaching. I'm a professor in economics at the University of Cincinnati. I was the director of the doctoral program in business. So in business administration for the past 5 years, and I will be heading to the department headship, starting this fall in economics. So I've been doing economics, like traditional economics, for the past 20 years in my whole life, and I think it's time to move forward and try to explore something different. Unfortunately, I'm not Hafiz Quran yet, inshallah. But I have a keen interest on trying to reformulate the paradigm of what it means to be an economist and a Muslim at the same time. I've been struggling with that for the past 20 years here. I think this is a unique opportunity to redefine ourselves and try to give a different meaning and signification to our life, and try, inshallah, to improve society first and foremost, by redefining the concepts and the paradigm under what we're living in here. So I've been teaching economics quite a bit for the past 15, 20 years, and always asking the same question on how to make society better, how to change even the content of the classes we teach so that it can be beneficial to the whole society, because I do think we have the right answers. We just don't have the right mindset to to tackle those very important issues here. So again, I'm very blessed, again, thanks to brother Ildus, Zaid, Yasir, and sister Abrin here to organize the class. And it takes a lot of time to organize classes, and so it takes a lot of energy as well and commitment. So I'm very blessed to be part of this group here and learn from you as well. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Jazakumullah. Okay, so next we have with us brother Shahadatuddin.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Shahadatuddin. I'm from London, UK. I did my undergraduate in economics some 2 decades ago. I have predominantly worked in accounts and finance for over a decade, so I have a pretty good grounding in economics and finance related subject matters. I also was involved in Islamic political activism for over a decade as well, and very similar to Yasser, one of the things that I've found in that time is that the solutions that Muslims tend to advocate for the modern problems that we're having to solve wasn't always adequate. And I think one of the failings with that was a lack of understanding of the complex systems that Dr. Zaid Barzimzi and was talking about. I think as Muslims sometimes we lack a bit of sophistication in our understandings of the systems that ultimately are governing the modern economy, and I think that's an issue that needs to be addressed before we can actually start devising the solutions. So yeah, so economics has always been a passion. I also have an interest in politics and history, and I find those, if you have a good grounding in a variety of different subjects, that allows you to better understand the world that we're living in. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakumullah. Thank you so much. We are left with 2 participants, and inshallah will be done, and then we'll take a short break and then we'll continue. So next on the list is our brother Tariq Muhammad Shamsul Arfin.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself to all the distinguished participants here. I am by profession, I am economist, you can say in that way. I am now working as a teacher in a public university in Bangladesh. So I am my home country is Bangladesh. Now I completed honors and masters in economics, I think almost 20 years ago. Then I also had 1 master's from US, that's 10 years ago. Then I was waiting for really to take the decision that in which subject I should get specialized. So then I decide to take the chance with Islamic finance. So now currently I am writing my thesis. My research topic is assess the impact of financialization on the ESG behavior of non-financial corporations. So the main interest for me to join this Maqasid Institute is the name, the Maqasid. As a student of Islamic finance, and also it's being in the Malaysia, I have some backgrounds in reading and also some training on Maqasid things. But unfortunately, as you know, the Islamic finance itself is a very, I would say that very narrow niche still now. So there is a pressure from conventional finance. So I'm not so happy with my thesis things. So I have to write something because I need to fulfill the market orientation and the market demand things. That's my supervisor's advice. So from that on, I think that I should have. It's my I may be taking too much time actually. From there on, I have the planning that I will start it to do a lot of research from my own point of view rather than considering here and there. So that's why I decide to join Maqasid Institute to really learn more deeply about the Maqasid methodology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So last participant, Brother Yasin Ala. Yes.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Alhamdulillah, I'm very thankful to be part of this discussion. I'm Yasin from the Philippines. I took masters in business administration in Istanbul, but I'm currently now in Malaysia in INSEAD University taking PhD in Islamic finance. My interest in this course really is I'm hoping to play a critical role in establishing Islamic finance in the Philippines. I believe from my readings, Philippines was one of the first countries to have its Islamic Bank as early as 1970s. But we were not able to, play in the market. We were not able to have that critical role in this economic system. And so that's what I'm trying to look into. How can we proliferate an Islamic financial ecosystem in a non-Muslim majority country like the Philippines, even if we already have like first foot in the door. And the topic itself, the reimagining economics. In Malaysia, the Maqasid is, I could say, it's already a critical part of the discussion. If you look into the central bank, the Bank Negara, they have this Maqasid approach, as well as in the Securities Commission, they have that. But I also want to see if this approach is the same as what we have in the Maqasid Institute in the discussion. To just approach to be able to compare them and see how is it being criticized, how is it being applied, and how to move forward, especially in the Philippines for non-Muslim majority. So that's really my interest. So now my topic, since I think that to be able to proliferate that, I have to go very fundamental. So I think my current dissertation would be from a basic fundamental aspect of financial literacy and Islamic finance for the Philippines. And I'm hoping to see a different approach or how to proliferate this one in our area. So yeah, thank you very much again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. It's just 1 minute to 6. Let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Ambreen Sultan. I am going to be assisting you in this course. I'm from Pakistan, and I'm currently doing PhD in economics at International Islamic University, Malaysia. I'm really happy to have surrounded by so many people with diverse backgrounds and experienced individuals. So let's take a 5 minutes break, grab your coffee, and maybe get yourself ready for the next hour. Inshallah, we can resume back at 6:05 Makkah time. Thank you. All right, I think we should resume back. It was a really quick break. So I think we will follow up with the next agenda item that is going to be the lecture for today class. So I'll give the floor to Dr. Ildus Rafiqov's presentation.
Okay. Let me share the screen. Go to slideshow. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now, so Alhamdulillah, we started with introductions, and really it is good to see such a diverse crowd, and everyone is interested what we are here to what we are about to introduce to you some of our ideas. Of course, it's not something new, but by the way, can you see my screen or you don't?
We see it, bro.
Okay.
You just need to go to presentation mode.
I think I have, is it presentation mode?
Yeah,
No.
slideshow.
All right.
Is
I pressed the slideshow. I think it shows the whole slide, right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So. All right. Let me continue. Alhamdulillah. I mean, this is this course is something that many of us will learn. What is the Maqasid methodology and how it differs from the traditional Maqasid al-Sharia approach? And is it possible to utilize this methodology in looking at real life phenomena and trying to find solutions? And we will talk about it, and inshallah we'll deliberate and maybe debate about it. But what I want to start with is this picture. I think some of you who know me and from IKEA Academy have seen me using this. I really like it because it shows that if you just take one perspective, you just look at just one shadow, you'll see one kind of object, but the reality would be completely different. And so all of us, we have our own approaches, our own views of and opinions about objects, ideas, and concepts. And many of us we will differ on at so many levels. Even though we will see that I'm correct and the other person is also correct. Is it possible to be to have the same kind of idea or the concept or same knowledge? And so when we want to advance the civilization, we want to advance any advanced topics or advanced concepts, we need to find something that unites us. All right, and something that can unite us is a guidance that is not built by human beings. I mean, it's not introduced. It's something that is revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even if we look at such ideas like by Kurt Gödel, who is the friend of Einstein, and he said he devised this incompleteness theorem, and he said that any system that is robust enough, like an arithmetic, it cannot explain itself. Even though it can be true, but it cannot sustain, it cannot explain itself, and so you need something else to explain it. And so to see the reality, we really need to go beyond the disciplinary boundaries. And and all of us, we have the same kind of same sources that we get information from. And it is the perception, it's reason, it is introspection. We can reflect about our own conditions, and then the memory, intuition, experience, and lastly, authority. And who do we take as authority? And so the different schools of thought will have their own sheikhs or their own scholars that they follow, their own books, and so on. And so it's very important who bases. I mean, this schools of thought. What do they base their thinking on? And of course, they will have some sort of authority. And the empiricists will have only the perception and reason. And maybe like the neoclassical economists will have also the empirical view of the economy. And so on. I mean, this is something very important. The perspective that we take is really important. And so, all right. And so let me just look at introduce to read to you this this ayah. This is from Surah Al-Nahl, ayah 97. So whoever does good, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, whoever does good, whether male or female, and is a believer, we will surely bless them with a good life. And we will certainly reward them according to the best of their deeds. And this is a result. If you only look at this 97, it's very difficult to understand what is a good life, really. And so you need to maybe go back to from at least from ayah number 90, and you'll see that this is the good life is the result of fulfilling the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you look at the ayahs that come before it, you'll see that Allah orders justice and good conduct, also giving to relatives, and also for this immorality and bad conduct and oppression, and also not to break agreements and not to make agreements as a means of deception. So once you avoid all of this, then Allah will bless you with a good life. Now, so we see in these ayahs the purpose. The purpose of these ayahs is to provide an explanation of how to attain good life, and this is by following the Allah's commands. You will be able to achieve the good life. And what I find interesting in ayah 92, Allah presents the example of this a woman who used to loosen the span thread, after it was made strong. I don't know if you have ever seen how in the past they used to make thread by by spinning it. I still remember my grandmother used to make thread and used to spin and do the threads. And so in this ayah, according to At-Tabari, Zamakhshari, and Samarkandi, they mention even the name.
Can I just interrupt that your screen is not showing the ayah? Is it frozen or something?
I don't know. Let me see. Resume share. All right. Something is wrong here. I'm using a new laptop. All right. So maybe you could go there.
Okay.
I still have to figure out this technology with the new laptop.
I'm sharing it, inshallah.
All right.
And just
All right.
guide me through it, inshallah. So we are here.
Just just does that one. And so even the scholars, as I mentioned, At-Tabari, Zamakhshari, and Samarkandi, if you could just go back one slide back before that. So من عمل صالحا من ذكر وهو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. And so in ayah 92, it was mentioned about that woman, a Quraysh woman, who who loosens the span thread. And what is interesting about this ayah is that it comes right after the mentioning of the agreements. And so agreements, in my view, they are likened, they're just like strong threads that it takes time to build to build those agreements. And the agreements are not only transactional, but they are also relational. And in ayah, in Al-Baqarah, ayah 172, Allah commands all humans and the believers to consume all that is good and wholesome and it provides the explanation in 173 not to eat dead animals, blood, flesh of swine, and that which is dedicated to other than Allah. And those who do not follow the command are likened to those who following the steps of shaitan. Next one. And so when we look at the life around us, it's not really divided into disciplinary kind of boundaries. The issues and challenges that we face on daily basis, they are not really defined. We can define them through, let's say, psychology, or in sociology, in anthropology, or in economics. But there will be limitation in understanding them. And also, once we have a limitation boundaries from just one discipline, then we are kind of limiting ourselves in exploring the other perspectives, and what can give us a better, more holistic picture. And so we come to the idea of transdisciplinarity, and this is something that we want to move beyond the boundaries of one discipline. And it is a kind of an integration of knowledge generated by people across disciplines, industries, and across time and space. And so, we have people from the decks, from the old civilizations, and the science accumulates information and knowledge across time and space. And we go on studying it, we develop it, and produce it, and maybe sell it or share it with the future generations. And so other people also work on it and try to add to it, add, subtract, or develop the ideas, scientific ideas. And so the integration of knowledge here, in my understanding, is the integration of revealed and acquired knowledge, but also not forgetting that all knowledge comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we need to have something that really unites all of that, and provides guidance and principles that we can use in order to look at the knowledge and understand the world around us. And so we focus on phenomena, not on specific discipline-bound assumptions or theories. But of course, it would help if we have some idea what those theories contain, and what is the discussion, and what are the arguments in some of this different paradigms. But also, if we focus on phenomena, then we really go beyond the disciplines. All right, next one. And so we want to focus on disciplinary, or phenomena studies, not forgetting the disciplinary, of course. But this is one area that, according to Professor Jasser Wood, I mean, in his book, Re-envisioning Islamic Scholarship, he suggests to classify all the knowledge, all the disciplines, or the areas of study rather, into this solely disciplinary phenomena and strategic studies.
तो मैं ना उसको भाई कहते हुए पहले तो सलाम किया
And so I'm personally looking at economic phenomena from this perspective, from the perspective of economic phenomena studies. And so what do we mean by phenomena is, it's a study, research and analysis of the lived reality and the challenges that arise in that reality. And the economic phenomena is any problem or issue arising from various levels of connections. It's can be social connections, can be connections with the environment, and also our connection with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And especially at the level of production, distribution, consumption of goods and services. Of course, we can give a better definition of this, but this is what I very quickly I came up with. And now, Maqasidi Thought, and we can look at it from the three main perspective. What do we mean by Maqasidi Thought? Of course, there is the idea of Maqasid al-Sharia, and the traditional view is that it is at the daruriyat level, or it is the protection of the deen, protection of life, protection of progeny, protection of aql, and the protection of wealth. But beyond that, we want to look at it from the perspective of purposefulness, comprehensiveness, and connectivity. So whatever we do, and Dr. Zaid will talk about it in a few minutes. So the idea of purposefulness is that everything we do and that everything Allah Subhanahu wa Taala creates, it has purpose. It has some specific purposes, and we can clearly identify them in the Book of Allah and also in the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And when we talk about comprehensiveness, it means that there is a lot of interconnection between everything that surrounds us. And in order to understand those connections, we need to have this holistic view, guided by the principles that can be found identified in the Book of Allah. And of course, we will go into details of all of those. And the idea of connectivity, again, the whole universe is based. We can look at it as a hugely complex and dynamic system. So we can use this contemporary language and describe it as a complex system. And so complex systems are highly interconnected and interdependent. And there is always something that emerges out of those connections. So let's say we have within our bodies, we have different systems, like the nervous system, the the muscular system, and so on. And this system, they come together and make something whole out of it. And it is always that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And so to understand any system, of course, it is good to know some of the details, but to understand the whole, it's not enough to know just constitutive parts of that system. And so, as we said, complex systems are dynamic and they are non-linear, and so they're always changing. There is always some sort of interaction, and the economy itself, it has so many economic agents, and those economic agents are at the level of individual, at the level of families, at the level of firms, corporations, regulatory bodies, also the government, and all of them, they are interconnected in certain way through production, through consumption, through regulations, through laws, and so on. And all of them, all of these interconnections, they affect each other. And so complex man-made systems, they must be balanced. All right, so we need to work on balancing those systems somehow. So but just like maybe we can go the first next slide. And so this is just a very quick example of the Allah's creation is in so how it is infinitely complex. Even one cell is so it's so complex. You know, this what we see here is just maybe a very small part. You can really go deeper and deeper into it and find more and more complexity in it. But then next slide is. Next. Okay, so man-made complex systems, just like this this bridge, huge bridge. I think one of the largest bridges in the world. It's here in Turkey. I'm based in Turkey, and so you know, you need to start with an idea. It starts with an imagination, and then you translate it into some action, some plans, some detailed plans. And then you go into deeper studies like geological material studies and so on. And you need to bring it all together. And you know, you affect the government policy. You need to find contractors and so on at so many levels. And you need to find some balance on how to make this really happen. How many minutes do I have? So we need to be able to imagine a purpose, you know. So we have some ideas. We have some the maqsad or the objective, and or the purpose. And once we identify the purpose, then we can work backwards from it and build whatever the steps or whatever the plan that needs to be built in order to achieve that purpose. And so it requires understanding. It requires really looking deeper into things. And here we can just look at you can find this also in the book. We don't have to really stop on this, but you'll find purposefulness in the Quran anytime, any ayah. You just read the ayah and you'll find you'll understand the ayah either from itself or from the connection that it is related to. Maybe ayahs before it, or maybe the ayahs after it. So there is always some purposefulness involved. And then connectivity, and I think I can even stop here. We can stop sharing it here, and then we can Dr. Zaid can continue. But really, this is something that we this is my personal understanding is that if we want to look and talk about economic phenomena, and I underline the word phenomena, not specific theories. I mean, this is my personal perspective into it. If we want to understand the economic phenomena, we need to be able to look at it as a complex system, complex dynamic system with all the stocks and flows involved and all the relations and interconnectivities. But also something that really unites or gives principles, guiding principles. It is the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And inshallah, we'll continue discussing all of these things in the future in other classes, inshallah. So thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Eldous. May I bless you for this incredible, alhamdulillah, presentation and finishing on time. You set the bar high. May Allah bless you, Akhi. So again, so what we're trying to do in this opening, meeting session is that we have to get to this mode. I mean, this is a class about reimagining. So we have to put our thinking and mode and focus our brain power into this mode of reimagining. And this is really, the Maqasid methodology emphasizes this. So I'm going to go into this. You can see I have, so here, so the Maqasid methodology and the Maqasid approach exhibits future, critical, and comprehensive orientation. And collectively, with everything we're saying here, all of this represent this paradigm shift that we are trying to introduce into Islamic scholarship in general, and in this case into what we are trying to develop with what we're developing with Dr. Ildus and everybody and Brother Yasser and all of you here is something new. We're calling economic phenomena studies. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make possible to take strong strides, inshallah, in this field. So here, the Maqasid methodology, let's jump into it. What we're saying here is that here that change starts with a vision of a better future. That's an important part of what we are trying to achieve and do. And one important connected concept here is that we're saying that, look, right now we live through so many crises all around us. And these crises can easily consume every bit of our brain power, our emotion, and we keep just thinking, and we always ask, why is this happening? Why is this happening? This is important, but part of breaking through the status quo is to have to dream and think of a better future. This dreaming and thinking of a better future is strongly anchored and based on our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah has enabled us to do better. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. That we're able, Allah has given us this test, and Allah has also given us the resources and the ability to challenge the problem that we face today. And you can see it in two quick hadith references here, that at one hand, the Prophet ﷺ says, ما جعل الله داء أو ما خلق الله داء إلا خلق له دواء, that there is no, never that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put a crisis or an ill or a sickness unless that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the ability to find a cure for that one. So when you say future orientation, if we don't have the cure today, we know, we trust in Allah that we have, that we just need to work for it. And every vision has a purpose, objective, goal, reason, or justification. Why are we thinking of the world in this way or that way? Going with this future orientation, it's again a proactive orientation. How many of you remember thinking and sitting and always questioning and why Muslims are almost always just reacting? Something bad happens and we react to it, and we always seem to be in a reaction mode. Why can't we propose and lead on issues and subjects? Not only the issues, the crises that we face in the Muslim world, the flooding in Pakistan, the civil war in Sudan, of course, we have the genocide in Gaza, the Rohingya refugee incredible crisis. There are many crises happening in Africa, so on and so forth, and then so there is so many crises all around us at the Muslim level, but at the global level, where are we? So we have, we need to envision the destination before the journey. I remember during the COVID crisis and all the efforts taken by various governments to make sure that the economy does not stop, does not stall, does not go into contraction. It was massive quantitative easing and buying of junk bonds. And so suddenly it was possible to do a lot of things that was considered to be taboos or impossible or no. Suddenly, and then one question that sometime one commentator, Muhammad Al-Aryan, kept reminding everybody, we're just managing the trip, but we're not thinking about the destination. And we're doing so many things right now without any idea of what's the implication of all of this. So it's very important to put that destination. Where do we see ourselves, our ummah, our countries, and so on and so forth down the road? One important part of this future orientation is that don't just look at what's happening right now. Look at the opportunity that might happen in the future, because new technologies coming online, new developments, new inventions and innovations are taking place, sometimes with or without our consent. I mean, what happens if we actually reach this general intelligence building on the artificial intelligence? What happens if we actually start redesigning human beings with genetic engineering? What happens? What happens? What happens? So it's very important. These things can provide incredible challenges for us, but they can also provide opportunities for us if we position ourselves in the right, pivotal spot to affect change. And all of that, again, require this trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and regaining trust in ourselves. And that is really some of the most important things, that if we are, Stephen Covey says, if you think you can't, you can't. And if you think you can, which is really just really a very basic Islamic value here. So here, an important part of this future orientation is, we go beyond problem solving. I sometimes call our civilization is excellent at problem solving. Actually, if you're a problem solver, you are regarded highly. But sometimes we solve one problem by creating 2-3 other problems, maybe not immediately, but down the road. And that seems to be the mode. So future orientation tries to rise above that, and it is always placed in the future. And once we have a future orientation, we have a purpose, we have a higher objective, then that objective keeps pulling us. It has own gravity that pulls us towards it. And then it has a practical application, of course, in strategic planning. And I know many of you are into strategic thinking and planning. And here's an important thing. It goes beyond this cycle of cause and effect. Actually, in the book, we explain that the cycles of cause and effect is, by its nature, is backward looking. So something happened, what caused this? And sometimes we also get stuck in this, and we don't see the world except through this cause and effect dimension. I propose that this is every cause and effect is part of Allah's sunnah, that this would not work this way. When Edison is trying his hundreds of experiments to find the one, each one of these is a cause and effect. He discovered a cause and effect that does not work, that does not produce light, until the one cause and effect that did produce light. What happens right now, as you can see from that another AI generated image here, is that sometimes we're too close, and we just see a massive rock blocking our way, and we don't see any way around it or through it. Or the cause and effect that we know is that I have to have maybe a large amount of explosive or drilling equipment to go through this rock, and sometimes we cannot think of any other solution because we're always between a rock and a hard place, right? And this is what our ummah, sometimes we are between a rock and a hard place all the time. However, if we take a few steps to the back, or we go around this, we can find that what other people say, that this is the only way to develop, this is the only way to structure our finances around interest rate, this is the only way to do things, is not actually true. And we need to, that's why the whole thing about reimagining is, can we set a goal and find the many different ways to go around it? So here, open the doors for creative thinking, discover new cause and effect, and manifest Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's unlimited barakah and rizq. Actually, this is part of this. So here you can see that another kind of way to visualize this. Imagine this lady who's, I asked AI to make her look thirsty, but at least her cup is empty, and she's thinking and dreaming of water. And then sometimes you can come at it from, and when she looks right in front of her, she does not see any source of water, even though there's a whole lake behind her. So sometimes this is a problem, that Allah's rahmah and barakah and rizq and facilitation and taysir is all around us. We just need to widen our scope and look around. And this is the process of ijtihad. Try and the barakah of having perspective. That's why, like, one of the reasons, one of the factors that we looked into when we chose the participants in this class is to have various perspectives. It's very important, even if you don't have a strong background in economics. This is very important because we wanted your perspective, because I am like trained in economics through and through. I may definitely many times I miss the point, or I miss the bigger picture. So we need your contribution to that. So here I'm giving you just a very quick sample of when you go to neoclassical and new classical in macroeconomics, we call it new classical, and micro we call it neoclassical. This is the mainstream theory. We can see that they have the stated objective that simply we are dealing with scarcity and human wants, unlimited human wants. That is the kind of, if we solve this problem, then everybody will be better off. We'll all be as happy and as good as we can, maximizing utility in the process. And then we have these focus areas, and we developed a massive amount of tools and all of these areas, but there is no exactly clear vision of where this all going to lead. It just depends on who is in control of it. So here we end up with just achieve the equilibrium and everything will be good. So here the question but are there higher objectives here, implicit or explicit? So here, individual freedom and choice. This is like from Adam Smith's time, and the story of the invisible hand, and so on and so forth. And here, I wanted to input or share one reason why I think this, why it's important. The invisible hand is important from Adam Smith's perspective. As one thing is that he was looking. The way I read Adam Smith, he was looking around him and see that either people who are obsessed with, with the power and the value of the land, the physiocrat. So, and then because of that obsession with one source of economic power and empowerment, then all policies, government policies in France was focused on promoting agriculture. And then you have the mercantilists in Europe, and because all their focus is on just the power of trade and merchants and exchange and bringing gold into the country, so everything was focused on mercantilism. And then it's always either the king dictating what you should and should not do through monopolies and through licenses and so on and so forth, or the church telling you what to do, and then he's saying just everybody hands off, let people pursue their own agenda. So that was the best way he can trying to imagine a better way of conducting the economy, and he was looking at the American colonies at the time as an example of how much more success can happen because of liberalizing economic activities, which was a partial story, of course, when we understand the full story of that. Of the American colonies. So is this all value free? This is an important question that we can challenge, and every time we learn about this. And then I wanted to give you a quick sample of post-Keynesianism. So Keynes himself is basically trying to rescue the classical model of economics, make it more reasonable. But then there is an interesting development that people who were interested in Marxist thinking kind of got onto the bandwagon and used Keynesian thinking and developed it into post-Keynesian thinking. And we get into this interesting thing. It's a critique of the status quo, but you can see in many of the post-Keynesian thinkers that really they're dreaming of a better place, dreaming of a better world where people are treated more equally, and that comes a lot from Marxist thinking, because he was. Sometimes I joke with people that I tell them that Marxist thinking sometimes is closer to the ideals of Islamic economics than capitalism, because we're just thinking, oh, capitalism is a free, ownership and individual ownership, and that is very close to fiqhi opinion of looking at things. And then higher objective might look at a manifestation like human dignity that is much more manifested in Marxist thinking. So we see here that post-Keynesian try to come in and try to use just objective tools of economics to argue their point. And they have come up with how can we rebuild the economic theory, so on, so forth. So here you can see that they do have, higher objective that they aspire to. You can see it in the discussion of, Steve Keen and other prominent post-Keynesian, and they make interesting statements like, to protect the ultimate aim, is to protect all lives, which is something that, has a strong affinity to Islamic perspective. So with this, then if we go on, okay, what about Islamic economics, or what we're trying to call? Sometimes, I have an issue with calling it Islamic, even like just better economics in line with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to do. But because it's now a standard use, I'm okay with using Islamic economics, but I usually would not use the term Islamic banking. I'll use the term halal banking or Sharia compliance banking, because I think that really confuses the discussion. So I want to leave it as what are the objectives and the higher objective as part of one of the assignments for all of us, so that, really by the end of this, throughout this course, we keep a long list that we edit, and maybe Sister Amberine can help us keep like an evolving discussion and definition of what are the higher objective of this reimagined economic system. Focus areas, I'm just having a starting point of the Hayat Tayyiba being one critical part. So here, the second one is critical orientation. We're critical of what we have right now, and by critical here is that we want to present everything through and see everything through the lens of the Quran al-Karim and the Wahy and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that is one important part when we say critical. When we say critical, we're critical of both. We're critical of the work and the effort developed and presented by Muslim scholars and the practices of Muslims throughout history, because this is all human effort. So we learn from Al-Imam Al-Ghazali, and we critique him. We learn from Jasser Oda, who is the president of the Maqasid Institute, yet I critique him personally. I critique, and I'll give you an example of something that I am. I kind of go after him and question his thinking about. But then also this, so there's a divine purposes provide the avenue to critique the Islamic and secular thought. So here we say we don't really typically say Western thinking. Try to avoid that, because now it is basically, we want to say that it is just that is truly revelation-based thinking and non-revelation-based thinking, whether it came from India or China or anywhere else. And the divine purposes provide the possibility for better rectification, reform, islah of economic, political, and social conditions. Right. So this is again part of the critical. Here, some divine purposes as a criteria for a measure of our action. So, like here in this case, if there is no taqwa in the being observed and fasting, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deliver all and grant us all a Ramadan, a wonderful Ramadan full of taqwa, then the purpose of fasting is not fulfilled. So on and so forth, as it goes with many of these other things. But one example that I can give you about the critical thinking, I mean, two examples here quickly, is that several times, Professor Jasser talks about awqaf as a foundation of maybe an Islamic economics. And here, it's sometimes part of the exercise and the imagination that I want us to think about. Okay, one way is to take things to extreme as a tool of analysis. So if I take things to extreme and everything in an economy is owned by awqaf. This is practically, how different is this going to be than a communist regime where everything is collected and owned? And what happens when there's a class of people who are controlling these assets and the others, nobody owns anything and you just simply live there? And that. So we need to be careful what we say, then in this situation. And sometimes, yes, somebody's just giving an idea. It doesn't, and it is the job of people who take these ideas and test it. Yes, awqaf endowments can be a very important part of an economic system, but not everything. The other example I wanted to share with you, this just came from the Al Baraka forum that was concluded. One gentleman from Malaysia mentioned that one state in Malaysia accepted the following arrangement. The arrangement is to offer zakat as a loan to be paid back to the people who are needy. And that's like, okay, so, and he's talking that this is fulfills some maqasid of Islam. And I was still, my first reaction, this is incredible abuse of the maqasid. What about the maqasid of the zakah itself? I mean, the person probably is miskeen or faqir or something like that. That's why he's asking for a loan. And once he has a loan, he is, by definition, he is, gharimi, he is in debt. So I understand that we're trying to encourage, people to stretch the impact of zakah and this or that, but are we violating other maqasid? So this is part of the critical orientation that we want to subject ourselves and everything that I say, everything that Ildus says, and that's why it's a participation, and I really appreciate all of your input. The last point here, that is comprehensive orientation. And then to say that, one way that we try to achieve this comprehensiveness is to think through 7 elements. Part of the assignment that we want to ask you all to do is number 1, and this is the key foundational part of any tajdeed and islah and reimagining. Are we connected with the Quran and the revelation and the Sunnah of the Prophet or not? That's why the first thing we're asking all of you this Ramadan, contemplate with the question or issue that you have in mind, most pertinent issue that you are really have a lot of questions about. And then as you contemplate the Quran Kareem, think about these 7 elements to help you gain deeper understanding of the Quran Kareem and its answer to your question and vision. Through the objectives, the concepts, values, commands, universal laws, groups, and proofs, as actually all of these are explained thoroughly in the recorded lectures that you have access to by Dr. Jasser Oda and by the book which you all have access to. This is just a simple example about the nature of the comprehensiveness of the Quran Kareem. So here is the interesting thing, that we actually take the Quran Kareem seriously. And I want to take that for a second. We actually take the Quran Kareem seriously. So when it says "Ma farratna fil kitabi min shay," we have not omitted anything in the book, then that is truth. It is there. What I'm seeking is there. I'm just not opening my eyes, not looking at it through the right lens, through the right approach. And inshallah, this is one thing that inshallah, as the facilitators of this course, and as a group, we will try to help each other see the questions and the objectives that we are seeking out of the Quran Kareem and how we can really figure out this. I'm going to leave this to a future conversation, because out of all of this comes a theory of change, which is, again, I would love for all of us to refine, to think, and to see if this is actually makes sense. And you're all going to have access to these slides, inshallah. Ta'ala. So with that being said, I leave maybe the last slides to Brother Ildus. تفضل أخي Ildus.
Yes, so we want to ask you during this Ramadan to really spend time in tadabbur al-Quran. And we want to limit it to the first 4 surahs. Of course, if you can read more, please do so. But at least we want you to read from Al-Fatiha to the end of Al-Nisa before Al-Ma'idah. And you do it with reflection, with reflecting on some ideas, some economic ideas that you might have. All right, so we reflect upon it with some, you come to it with your question, with your own question about some economic issues or economic phenomena, and what kind of economic phenomena you can identify, and how these ayats, how do they reflect, or how do they explain what you're looking for, what you're trying to find an answer. And so you try to find it, and then you share it, and we will discuss it, inshallah, after Ramadan. And so we want to break for Ramadan so that you can really take your time in tadabbur, in fasting, in trying to understand. And you see, one of the things that I want to also mention is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that it is easy. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And we have made this book easy to understand. Is there anyone to contemplate? Is there anyone to understand? And so and it becomes easy only if we really go the distance in that journey. And so please do spend this month productively. I mean, in terms of for preparing for this course, in Tadabbur. And then you just watch those videos that are provided in the LMS. And we can also use the chat, the Telegram chat and the LMS for whatever questions that come up with, if you want to discuss, if you have some questions, concerns, or disagreements, please share with us. And, everyone is welcome to contribute. It's an open society, where all of us, we are learning from each other. And my role here is facilitator, and Dr. Zaid as well. And so with whatever we have, inshallah, we'll try to facilitate a collective learning, collective ijtihad, inshallah.
Your questions or any discussion items are welcome, and I think we'll follow up with you all, inshallah, on the Telegram group about your Ramadan objective, inshallah, from contemplating Al-Quran and Khatam al-Quran.
Hello. I have a question, please. Do you recommend any particular translation of the Quran that we should be focusing on in order to come to a conclusive, discussion where we're all working on the same basis?
I would like to answer it because I'm not, even though I can read Arabic and I can understand, but it's not my first language, of course. And I'm not an avid Arabic speaker. But I would recommend you using several translations. Now if you use like Quran.com, the Quran, it gives you an option to download several different translations, and you just look at them at the same time as you go through, let's say, the Arabic ayah, and then you look at the other different translations as well. So they might be like nuanced, some detail, some differences in those translations. And you just try to see which ones. I mean, there are translations that I use personally. Dr. Mustafa Khattab, I think, is one. Then Sahih International, another one. The Clear Quran is another one. So the threefold would be, I think, should be fine. If you are, and also if you know other languages, I would really recommend looking at in other languages as well, in your own language. I really look at myself in the Russian translation and also Turkish translation.
One quick comment about that, Sister Muniza, and I cannot emphasize this enough. Ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who decides to open an understanding into and open our hearts and our mind into an understanding and deeper understanding. I've known a lot of people who are excellent in Arabic and tafsir and this and that, and they really do not bring anything new. They're just simply there's nothing new, or they're even doing a lot of wrong things that they're not supposed to. So, but then I trust this is, we actually, when I say we take the Quran seriously, this is a good test of that. This is number one, Allah in the Quran al-Kareem subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have made this Quran easy for remembrance and for contemplation. So where are those who are there to contemplate and remember it? So I take that message seriously, and Allah knows that we'll come from many backgrounds. Some of us know Arabic or not. But what happens is that if you actually contemplate the Quran al-Kareem one time, full cycle of the Quran al-Kareem, one time, two times, three times, with the translation, but what will happen by the second, third, and fourth round? You have gained so much knowledge of the Arabic vocabulary of the Quran al-Kareem that you'll be able to really elevate your understanding of the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We just need to start the process, and we are here with you bi'awni ta'ala. So so the other thing that we focus, that try your best not to go into tafsir, but use a translation, just basic understanding of the ayat. Once you go to tafsir, then you are bringing the understanding of the mufassir into your understanding of the Quran al-Kareem, and that kind of removes major objective that we try to do in Maqasid Institute, that contemplate the Quran directly. You know, because many of the Sahaba did not have like that incredible knowledge or deeper. They just read the Quran and it touched them. But there was a community around them to make sure that nobody goes way off in their understanding of the Quran Kareem. And we are this community, and we have scholars around us to correct us. But the translation, or like, sorry, the tafsir comes as part of the literature review. So you can touch on the tafsir, but later on, not when while doing your initial contemplation of the Quran Kareem. And one quick thing that you raised, Sister Muniza, is that about the riba question. I will discuss that and make sure that either it's one of the modules that we're going to have, or it's going to be a specific event that we will hold for this question, because this is one of the core issues that we need to reimagine. And we have incredibly hard time reimagining. I agree.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
If you have any other comments, we are here for you for next couple of minutes. I know we are over time.
Are we to choose our individual subject of inquiry?
Of course. It needs to be meaningful to you. That is number one, that you really, really care about. And yeah. And if not,
And
then just focus on
it. It has to be in the sphere of economics or finance.
We are flexible on it. I mean, obviously, there is that focal point on economic and finance. But how about present your idea? I don't want to shoot an idea first before seeing it. Present it, and then we'll think about it, inshallah.
I just wanted to know what our parameters are. I didn't have anything in particular.
Yeah, we were economics and finance here, right? You know.
Maybe I can comment on it. You know, I'm not I'm not an economist as Dr. Zayed is, or some of our participants here. So that's why I'm talking about economic phenomena. All right, and so you just look at something that looks to be not really in the discipline of economics, but then if you contemplate a little bit more on that, you'll see that it has some economic bearing, or something that is related in certain way. You know, it can be let's say it can be related to your own community and the development of your own community there in your own country, and certain social relations within your community. Part of it can be related to economics as well, to economic thinking. So you can still connect it with the economic phenomena, I think.
And
Okay,
one thing
thanks.
we can do here is, as we're talking about transdisciplinary approaches, it is possible that one or two of you or three of you work on one project, and you cover different dimensions of this project. Because obviously, when I work on a project, I'm much more focused on the economic and finance aspect of it. But I cooperate with my dear brother Ildus, who helped broaden my horizon and bring in. Then I try to, okay, how we're going to integrate and have a more advanced, analytical framework to do this. And recently, last year we were talking about working on connectivity in the contracting area, like in the gig economy that we call it. That seems to be, and then how we can achieve some islah in this area by focusing on the concept of Salatul Arham. But one important consideration is the one purpose of the system. You still need to be competitive, and how Salatul Arham can actually produce, logically, more superior outcome.
I think that's a great idea. I think, why don't we create teams of 3 among the group from now, so that then during the month of Ramadan, we could work with one another, come up with a team, and work together on that particular topic. That might be a better idea to, from now, to establish, so we might have much more productivity at the end of the month.
Inshallah. I think I'll discuss it with Ildus and Sister Yasser and Sister Ambreen. I think we can. That's a good suggestion.
If I could very quickly give one example of an economic phenomenon I've been thinking about, just maybe something to consider as an example. So I was just recently in the LEAP conference in Riyadh last week, and there's a real obsession around AI and robotics there. And really the application mainly being around the efficiency of various fields that these technologies could provide. And it got me to thinking about the obsession with efficiency as a concept. And obviously how it's being presented is efficiency leads to reduction in costs leads to profitability, and profitability being the driving force of the economy, right? But what it made me consider, how would Islam actually look at this concept of efficiency itself and balance this with actually the fact that while we don't have an issue with profitability as such, but we rank the protection of the human being higher than profitability. And the nature of efficiency itself means ultimately if you are chasing efficiency as an end, you will necessarily look for efficiency beyond which a human being is capable, which means you're actually competing with the human being. And therefore AI and robotics are competing with human beings ultimately. And actually I think it'll be interesting to delve into how Islam looks at efficiency when it's efficiency beyond the means of human beings. Because I think there's a discussion there around how do you protect the human being from competition with itself, competing against AI, competing against robotics, which if there's no limit, then ultimately you will in the end outcompete human beings themselves, and we will all replace everyone with AI and robotics. So I think efficiency as a concept is something that I think is really will be interesting to challenge and understand with a wider Maqasid approach, inshallah.
Excellent. No.
That's
exactly. That's all. تفضل. Welcome, Amir.
I have a question for Dr. Rafiqov. He mentioned that, in his slides that all knowledge is from Allah, and that we have to integrate acquired and revealed knowledge. But there is also the issue that there is a hierarchy of knowledge, right? I mean, revealed knowledge takes a hierarchy. So it has a higher hierarchical position. So I just wanted to get clarification on that, or ask him to elaborate a slight bit on that.
Well, thank you very much for the question. When we say that all the knowledge comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it shows that we are completely dependent on our Creator. And the Creator is the one who created this world and us within it, and provided us with all the tools, with the reason, with aql, and all the tools to look around and understand this world. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us those ayats. And in the Quran, Allah says that we will show you will show them the ayats in the horizons, or in the world, and within themselves, so that we can think about them and understand the truth. And so the hierarchy here is that ultimately Allah is the owner of this world, and He has given us the capabilities, the abilities to think and to look, and He has given us this alamat, or the ayats in the world, so that we can use the knowledge. And it is what is interesting here is that this three-letter word ilm is connected with amal. I mean, with itself, also with ayn, mim, lam. I mean, it's the same. And also it is connected with another word that is with the same letters, lama, or it is the illumination. Somehow it is all interconnected, and then we are here to use the knowledge in order to look and find the alamat, or the ayats, and that point to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the hierarchy I see in for my personal understanding here is that we use the ayah thinking, or we look at the world through the ayats. So the ayats are in the book, and ayats are in the world around us and within ourselves, and also ayats are in society. And what we do is all these tools and aql and memory and intuition, everything is given to us by Allah, so that we can think and we can come to realization that there is a higher being, and and that we could see those ayats. So that's why Allah says, "Sanurihim ayatina fil afaq wa fi anfusihim." And so I think what the main point here is that we look for those ayats, and we try to understand them and relate those ayats to our world, and how to make it better, and how we could go through this life using this knowledge.
Thank you.
So do we have Brother Yasin? Right.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum,
And
Prof.
I know we can try to take one question. I don't know if we can accommodate two questions. And let me just say that we can formally end the course, and then at least personally, I can be around for another 10-15 minutes, inshallah.
Yeah, me too. I can be around
to answer
also for
any,
10-15 minutes, no problem.
inshallah. Just that, so that people do not feel like they have to stay until the very end. And it is recorded, so you can cover the recording later on, inshallah. So, Brother Yasin, tafadhal.
Yeah, I'm contemplating on two questions, but I'm not sure if they're like advanced or way backward. First question is there indication that Islam prefers risk sharing or equity-based finance over debt-based or risk transfer finance? I think that's in some of the forums, that's one of the things that they're contemplating. Like, Islamic economy should move towards risk sharing, but are there like Islamic provisions that actually says that Islam prefers risk sharing, equity-based musharaka mudaraba versus murabaha, debt-based risk transfer form of financing? And the other question that I'm trying to choose is whether we should proceed with because in the current economic system supported by like the UN and the world government is towards sustainability agenda, which is within the SDG, ESG, SRI, several like sets of sets of frameworks and mechanisms on how we should be evaluating economics or business transactions. The question is, should as Muslim countries should we be proposing like a Maqasid approach of looking at economics, but then they're saying that SDG already overlaps or a great portion of it is compliance with Maqasid. Therefore, it is as if that if you follow the SDG indicators, you are already pursuing the Maqasid approach. So do you need to make a separate Maqasid understanding, or do we adopt the international world way of looking at it? So those are the like two questions that I'm trying to I'm not sure to look into, but what do you think, Professor? Like, which one seems to be more feasible or?
Yeah. So because Ildus always have the better answer than mine, so I'm going to give him some time to think about it. So here's the thing. My take is that, you see, there's this generality. Islamic economics prefer this over that. Why not that system has room for both? I mean, not everybody is risk taker. Some people are risk averse by their nature. So we will need some kind of wadi'a or well, I don't want to even call it bank because that is a definition. But some people want to save their money and have it and have access to it and have a transactional need and so on and so forth. We fulfill that need in a well, and then we have one that is risk sharing. When it comes to risk sharing, this is age old. I mean, people went into sharaka all over the time. But here we're saying that what we are saying, we're not bringing models where this is actually, I mean, but even that is not totally correct. There are many models of risk sharing, and people have been doing that all throughout their life, but somehow we just keep thinking in silos. So what we're trying to do here is a comprehensive view is that, well, this is all parts of the puzzle. We can put them all together and then they just go through but then facilitate. So this is the question, like one side of the efficiency that Brother Yasser was talking about. Efficiency here is anything that increases transactional costs. And in Dr. Al-Gamal's, he has a professor of Islamic economics at Rice University here. He has an important book where he talks about just sometimes Islamic transactional law of mu'amalat right now as applied in halal banking, it simply reduces efficiency because it just puts a few procedural steps and to achieve the same thing as which a conventional bank does cheaper. And that is violating an Islamic principle of israf. We are actually wasting resources and ending up with the same end result objective. So that is one thing that, and I know you had another point toward the end you were talking about.
Sustainability in the Maqasid agenda.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so the way we would like to approach this is that one major problem that we fall into is apologism. We just take something that other has done. Oh, look, this is also in Islam. We have, and that goes throughout, it runs through the gamut. What I would like to see is that, okay, do not just simply take these SDG objectives, present them to the Quran. Challenge each one of these concepts through the lens of the Quran al-Kareem, and one or two things happen. Either it is you find some major flaw maybe, and you can come up with a better alternative to it, or the Quran will give you a much more a bigger, better insight into this, and that will open the door for you to make a serious contribution into this SDG debate. And this is what we call restoring Islam's moral and intellectual leadership. But just don't. This is too common. A very broad statement. Has there been a very good, solid study that going through the SDG goals and actually analyzing them carefully from the Wahi perspective and Islamic perspective? And then let's start with that one. Wallahu alam.
If I can make a very quick comment, a follow-up comment.
Go ahead.
Jazakallah. I think if we take it back to the principle that Islam fundamentally prevents the circulation of wealth amongst small groups of people, when we look at the risk versus debt question, that's really the fundamental point here. That risk, the reason why Islam has a preference for risk sharing is it prevents that. And I think the question you have to ask is a lot of the debt-based models actually just pragmatic models that allow us to engage with the banking system as it is, as opposed to fundamentally Islamic constructs in their nature. And that's, so I think that's what I would say is, to answer this question properly, we need to actually take it back to the principles, look for, in principle, what's an Islamic economic system trying to achieve, and then build from there. And because my own personal view, there are lots of maybe Mubaraha or other structured contracts that are actually very pragmatic and actually in an ideal Islamic context, they probably wouldn't exist. But anyway, I think that's probably in order to tackle that question properly, we probably need to take it back to the principles and then and build from there, which I think is maybe that's something we'll cover in the course, inshallah. But that's just a comment I wanted to make.
Sorry, I just wondered with what the last gentleman was just saying about Islam preventing wealth circulating within a small group of people. How can you reconcile that when Islam also permits slavery? There is, if that was the case, then slavery would not exist, would it? You have to have a wealthy elite to be able to support a class of slave.
Okay, can I maybe start with this?
Good question.
Yeah, of course. Alhamdulillah. We have very good questions here. One idea is that Islam supports slavery. I think it is an erroneous idea. But it is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed this, the Quran, and revealed the Nubuwwah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It came at a place with its own traditions, with its own conditions, political conditions, economic conditions, and the slavery was one of the realities that existed. And actually, it came to eradicate this kind of, slowly, but it came to eradicate slavery as it is. If you only look at and read the Quran deeper, and you'll see every time, one of the ways to redeem some sins is to set the slave free. But it is related to that specific context. All right. So I think every time we look at some of these ayats, some of the ayats that are related to the slavery, we also have to look at the context itself.
Yeah, that's a common justification for it, and I do understand the historical context and the reasoning for it. But also, there is a strong argument to say that alcohol was very prevalent at the time. It was part of the culture. It was embedded in the Arabs at the time. The consumption of alcohol, the production of alcohol. Islam took the step of gradually, over 4, I think, different revelations, eradicating alcohol, but it did not take the step of eradicating slavery. It discouraged it. The example, the sunnah, everything is to free a slave, but your freeing of a slave is actually a prescribed, an expiation for certain sins that you've created. So it's still very much within the Islamic model. So to say that Islam is somehow presenting a utopian society where you don't have a wealthy elite and you don't have an underclass of servants or slaves is fundamentally wrong, I think, because Islam is very capitalist in that way. We do allow private ownership, and our compulsory alms giving is restricted to 2.5% of what is quite a limited calculation of wealth, your zakah, and is probably the lowest tax rate in the world. So the idea that you are simply shifting wealth through your alms giving into the hands of the impoverished is very, very limited amount of wealth that's being shifted that way. So I think Islam, in my opinion, and I completely, you know, I'm coming from a non-Islamic finance background, I'm coming from a commercial tax background, but I just can't reconcile the idea of Islam producing a utopian society where there is an efficient, equal sharing of resources.
So let me just one way, again, I want to emphasize that this is exactly some of the deeper questions that we struggle with. And then when we say the Maqasid methodology has a critical orientation, and part of this critical orientation is 1,400 years of jurisprudence and rulings, and you find it often, actually. I mean, I was in a conversation with a traditionally trained scholar, and he somehow he fell into a kind of a question trap that I put for him, that yes, I mean, if they're a slave, then we just you know, and it's like then I told him, what if Muslim nations all agreed and non-Muslims agreed on on ending slavery? Would that be against Islam? He said yes, they can. That would be acceptable. I said, guess what? I mean, they did agree on something like that. So called Convention on Human Rights. So I hope this debate is over. But we are critical of, but this is actually what hundreds of thousands of people go through traditional training, and they do this, and this is what I said about if you just simply jump into Quran tafsir, you'll find people simply talking about slavery as a matter of fact, when we think it violates very, very basic thing, the human dignity aspect of Al-Quran that advocates. Then the issue is, that's what we said, like comprehensively, if you just simply take that question, so this can be potentially an assignment for you. If you go through the whole Quran al-Kareem, how does the issue of slavery is looked at and treated comprehensively? And then this is exactly what the Maqasid methodology is all about. How about treatment of women? I mean, all there is ijma that the testimony of a woman is half of the testimony of a man in everything, So you can have, at an extreme, you can have a professor of transactional laws from Oxford or a major university facing an illiterate person who doesn't even know how to count, for example, and then both of them testifying on a financial issue, and you can say, well, still there is definitely, that is a huge violation, I think, of something of one of the maqasid of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put. But instead of just jumping through this like this, treat it the Quran holistically. So I just want to say that instead of providing a comprehensive answer to this, we can definitely, I would like you to make this as your Quran journey, as part of your Quran journey this Ramadan and after Ramadan. And we are with you. We'll connect you with anybody, with other people who can go deeply into this process of discovering what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really, really wants from us, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to treat each other. Wallahu alam.
And as just a very quick point, I think this is the problem of understanding Islamic rules in isolation and then fitting them within the existing paradigm. For example, zakat 2.5%, as as the solution for poverty because you're fitting it within the capitalist paradigm. That's really not how the comprehensive Islamic system should be understood. There's a whole array of systemic differences between the Islamic system and the existing system. We could talk about the rules of public ownership. We could talk about the rules that massively increase monetary velocity by removing the other routes of hoarding wealth. So there are so many other aspects that create that create a wide distribution of wealth in society, and zakat is really at the end of that. So I think it's really important to and this course makes an introduction to that, to start to understand the wider comprehensive Islamic system, and then understand where zakat and these kind of individuals fit within that, because there are so many more aspects to the system than that really need to be understood to appreciate it properly.
Yeah.
Can I just make a point also?
Terminology. Yeah, just a few quick answer, like tax. Like I think it's in Islamic perspective, it's all sadaqat. If you're like, anything I contribute to help my fellow human beings in this one economic or political system, or it's all sadaqat. And throughout the Quran al-Kareem, it talks about people who are striving with their wealth and their self and their effort. So it's definitely, it is not limited, but it is the minimum. The minimum is 2.5%, and then the maximum, as we saw even in the example of the Sahaba, the people who brought all their wealth. There's definitely but it is all in the context of an objective we are trying to achieve. What is it that we are trying to achieve? Protecting our community, or ending slavery, or ending something like that? Then it will justify people mobilize people's wealth and effort to stand up to that challenge. It may be global warming, maybe this or that, whatever it is. Wallahu alam. So let's go to, is it Shahada?
One point?
Yeah, just
Can I make one
So
point?
who's talking?
It's
Okay,
Hafiz.
Tafaddal. Okay, Hafiz.
Yeah, two aspects. One, that the sister referred to the zakat to 1.5% as tax. It is not a tax. Secondly, there are other aspects, which is like awqaf and Qad al-Hasan, which is a financial instrument. That those are the kind of things that there are a number of areas that Islam recommends to deal with the development of the society. And on the question of the different the mudaraba and the murabaha, really they are applied to different situations. The mudaraba is more like an investment, so it's for a bigger type of. But if you are buying something small, like probably an appliance, it would mean that the murabaha would be the better instrument to use in Islamic financing. So they are not all the same thing. And the musharaka is a different thing also. It depends on the size of the investment. We have sukuk, which is even bigger. So we have to understand the different instruments that are available in Islamic financing and how they are applicable. And it is only then we will start to understand what we are talking about. And so it is important to start from the beginning and move out and understand all the different areas of Islamic finance and the facilities that are provided within Islam to build the community. One of the problems we have is that we have leaders who don't understand it and who have their own agendas. And that is what has been messing up the Muslim communities right through. And that is an area that we have to change. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah khair. Is it Brother Shahadat and then Daniel?
Yeah, that's right. Jazakallah khair. I actually wanted to make a different point, but if I could just, in terms of the discussion that's being had at the moment, I think in relation to Sister Muniz's point, essentially what we're talking about here is Islamically speaking, accumulating wealth is fine. That's not haram. It's how you go about achieving that. So the difference between the secular capitalist system and the Islamic system is that in the secular system, what happens is that the elite put in place mechanisms which facilitate the consolidation of wealth into the hands of a very small elite group of people. So, for example, Oxfam, I think on a yearly basis, they issue reports that talk about the level of wealth consolidation in the world. And I think the last time something like 50 people in the world had more wealth than over 4 billion people, basically. So we're talking about half the world's population has less wealth than 50 people. So the notion that 50 people are so, intellectually superior and business savvy than 4 billion people in the world is a bit of a ridiculous notion. So what we're talking about from an Islamic perspective, the difference is that in Islam, the playing field is level. So everybody has an opportunity to utilize their God-given rights to do something positive with their life. And if that is accumulating wealth for themselves and their families, they'll have that opportunity to do that, but not at the expense of others. In the capitalist system, you have mechanisms like patents, copyrights, debt, usury, limited liability. All of these are essentially mechanisms that exist to ensure that a small handful of people are able to consolidate wealth into their possession. And through the control of that wealth, they can then dictate to society how they should live their lives effectively. In terms of the discussion about guaranteed returns versus risk reward, I think this is to do with decision making. So one of the arguments that capitalists make about profit and why profit is such a good mechanism to sort of determine resource allocation is because profit-seeking behavior facilitates better decision-making. So this is why a capitalist will be pro business and anti-state involvement in the allocation of resources, because the argument is that if the state is given responsibility over the allocation of resources, because they're not driven by a profit motivation, it's going to adversely affect their decision making, and you see that in practice. For example, when you've got Western governments that collect so much in the way of tax revenue, but there's so much wastage because it's not their money. So when they're allocating that money, they're allocating it in inefficient ways because ultimately there's no profit in there for them. So this is one of the contradictions within the capitalist system, because they advocate for profit, but also at the same time they've based a monetary system on debt and usury. Usury is a guaranteed return. So if you have a system which is allowing for guaranteed returns, then that is also going to facilitate bad decision making. And you're seeing that in, for example, we saw that in 2008. The cause of the financial crisis in 2008 was subprime mortgages. So this is where you had banks that were allowed to loan out credit, voluminous amounts to people without actually adequately checking whether or not they were whether they were a good person to loan the money to. And subsequently, what ended up happening, they lent out so much money to the wrong type of people that eventually it facilitated the 2008-9 collapse. So I think from an Islamic perspective, it makes complete sense for our economic system to be based on primarily risk reward, because it facilitates good decision making, which is ultimately what we want. Yeah. We don't want a system whereby people become complacent because they have guaranteed returns, so they don't have to make good decisions. The other point that I wanted to make was in relation to when we talk about reimagining economics, are we talking about reimagining? Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, but just do it concisely if you can.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, in terms of reimagining economics, are we talking about just reimagining solutions to economic problems, or are we talking about redefining the economic problem itself? So I think personally, I feel there's a problem in the way that Western economists have defined the problem. So it's the allocation of scarce resources in the most efficient way to meet unlimited human wants. So
so you saw like in the future orientation, like that is exactly the issue, is that how problems first we live in the world of problems, and that's a problem by itself, and we want to break this and to envisioning a better and reimagining better thing, a better future, and not stay in that logic that the capitalist system has built for us. And I really appreciate that. Definitely is the latter. And I wanted to emphasize one thing back. The perspective that Sister Muniza and anybody here like her is incredibly important because it just kind of put us back in touch with the reality. Many of us in the Islamic economics, and that's one of the reasons, like, and I was completely kind of felt disillusioned with Islamic economics when I was studying it at the International Islamic University. At the end of the day, it is just like a Jum'ah khutbah, speech is it's all normative, and then and I look around in reality, people, Muslims are behaving completely different way as soon as they step out of the masjid. So there's just really dichotomy between the two. So then the question is here for us is how can we understand we can try to make the system better internally, gradually. That is partial solutions to improve the current status quo, but then a group of us need to also to think outside the box and reimagine the whole system because there's some deeper question because the definition of the problem itself is wrong. And that's why this effort of we calling economic phenomena studies is really to try to redefine the problem. Like it's like, it's really the issue of subprime loans, which is really going to the needy, the people with low credit, or there's some even deeper problems behind it. Wallahu alam. So you're on the right track, Akhi. Shahadat, and I appreciate your contribution. Brother Daniel?
Yeah, thank you, Professor. I just want to add a different perspective. Maybe I'm trying to follow Maqasid methodology, intersectionality and bringing different perspectives. So there is a book, I think, by Ulrich Beck, and the title of the book is Risk Society. I think he wrote it in the 80s, and he was talking about the ills of modernity at that time in the West. So, I mean, yes, there is this idea that Islam basically encourages risk. However, from a social point of view, risk might not be a very good thing because, it makes people vulnerable. When you're vulnerable, you're prone to sin. That's also a perspective. I'm just throwing it so that, people can ponder and think about it. Secondly, this, sorry?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead. No.
Okay.
I mean, if you, in the story of Nabi Sulaiman, the person with one sheep and his friend with 99 sheep, I think it's partly about risk. The one person with one sheep is thinking from risk. He's a risk-averse person, and the person with the 99 sheep is a big businessman, and he's very comfortable with risk, and he's all about invest and grow assets. And there is something in between happening that important lesson. So I love your perspective. I think it's there's a lot to it. Thank you. Go ahead with your next point.
I just wanted to say something about slavery as well. There was this sister, Munaza Sayed. I mean, I want to help her understand few things. I think I would recommend her to read Empires of Illusion by Chris Hedges. It would help her, especially, I guess, to understand how this modern discourse enslaves us. I mean, there's a lot of hue and cry about Islam, supporting slavery. I won't go into the details, but I'll just, say a few things. It might help her. I think Ibn Khaldun said that, a lot of people do not understand things because they do not understand the reality of things. So, I mean, first we need to understand what slavery is, what kind of slavery is allowed in Islam. So I'll just say one thing and then I'll finish. The thing is, Islam stops or abolishes slavery, but Islam does not, stops anybody if somebody wants to be a slave themselves. For example, this is not an Islamic principle. This is a principle of humanity. That in war, if two people are fighting with each other, the norm is that somebody who loses the war would lose his life to the other party. It's as simple as that. It's not about Islamic. It's anybody who's, into war, they'll be like that. So I'm just giving a tangent, a hint so that people can think about it. It's not very simple that, there is a hue and cry in Western media that Islam supports slavery. This is not the case. If you go into the details, you realize that it's not about Islam. It's about what you call a social principle by which every society runs. So, I mean, Islam cannot abolish that I eat food to fulfill my needs. Islam cannot do that. So you need to understand the ontology of society. If you can understand the ontology of society, then you would understand that there are certain things which are present in the society and Islam cannot abolish that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Do you know about a class of people called Aghawat? Agha or Aghawat. This was shocking to me to learn about. So Aghawat were slaves brought from Abyssinia. They were castrated, and they were serving the Masjid al-Nabawi and Mecca for hundreds of years. I think there's few of them still alive today. Of course, this practice ended. It just that, I mean, it was blowing my mind when I heard about it. So this one is like there are things happen in the Muslim history. That doesn't mean these things that happened lives up to the ideals of Islam, but they actually did happen. And I'm sure somehow, somewhere there is somebody who provided a fatwa to justify this or that. But that does not mean we should accept them. And that's a big challenge that we exercise in Maqasid Institute, that just because a Muslim, even a scholar, said it, it means that this is exactly the Islamic view and vision throughout a time and place and space. I mean, I do not know. I'm not in the shoes of that scholar, so I'm not putting him down. But it just blows my mind, given all my sensibility today. But here we are. I do believe that this Quran is completely, purely the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but our understanding of it can change with time and place. So inshallah, just like this, think fresh.
Professor, sorry, I just want to add one more thing, if you allow me.
Go ahead.
I'm really sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so the thing is, there are two things. One is the discourse of slavery. For example, the word slavery has been abolished. However, you also have to understand whether the practice of slavery has been abolished. So I would quote a giant Western scholar, Noam Chomsky. I mean, he
Yes.
categorizes this corporation as an institute of slavery. So he says
smart
that,
slavery, right?
Yeah.
Before used to, I mean, it used to you are responsible for the health and this and that of a slave, and now people in sweatshops and so on and so forth, you have a much lower threshold of care for them. So sometimes it is the condition of slavery might exist without the term, and that is, definitely a situation. That's again, it's good.
Modern day slavery is a different aspect, I think, because the situation around a person may strip them of their freedom in today's modern day, but fundamentally that right of freedom, even though they may not be able to practice it and put it into effect, but the right of freedom is theirs. Within the Quran, when we look at the Surah Yusuf, the example of Surah Yusuf is that he is elevated because he refused the advances of his master's wife. He had the right of refusal even as a slave. But when you look at the Islamic history and the Islamic principle from within the Quran itself, when we're talking about slave girls, they do not have the right of refusal. They are bought and sold. And the whole idea of owning a slave girl is really to protect the lineage. That's my understanding. That is to protect the lineage of any child born of her. But she has no right of refusal. Now, equally, that's balanced. And I do see the balance that there is a huge thing from Allah Ta'ala's point of view, that there is no sin upon the slave girl, whereas with Hazrat Yusuf, there would have been a sin upon him. But even so, even though we can argue about the balances and the rights and the language of slavery and whether it still exists or not, fundamentally, it is very much embedded within the Islamic economic society of yore. Now, you can say it's not modern day, and people would argue that what's going on in Palestine and Gaza, where people are looting their homes, that, you know, the idea of looting post-war is very much embedded within Islamic principles as much as it is within biblical or Jewish principles, that you can go in and take the wealth of people. Many of those slave girls or slave people were free women, free married women, and they then became slaves. So this is something that I think to say that just because it doesn't happen in theory in modern times, even though it does, it's therefore something we don't need to worry about Islamically.
Yeah. So I think one thing we can do, that one of the reasons that we want to use Telegram, because it allows us channels within subtopics. So we can follow these strands of conversation, and when we have the team's research, then we're going to have these strands, so we can have, so we do not, I'm sorry if we have to kind of conclude. Alhamdulillah, it's wonderful, almost 3 hours conversation. But then this is just the start, and this is exactly what we want to have. Challenge, is this really Islamic principle? Is this really fundamental of the religion, or something? This is a practice. I know the looting thing is actually is shocking to me, even as like a modern day Muslim. How can the Muslim mujahids do this or that? But is this really an Islamic principle or not? So I think with this, please just remember, inshallah, we will again follow up with you on an urge of myself and everybody here. Alhamdulillah, may Allah deliver us and grant us a wonderful and blessed Ramadan. Ya Rab, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to make it really a memorable month for us, connecting with the Quran at a deeper level than never before. Alhamdulillah, we're all here together in this journey, inshallah. And if we can, maybe Sister Amreen concludes with Surah Al-Asr, and بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
Thank you so much.